So here's the piece that I did first hour today to just really quickly give you guys trimming demonstration today, okay? So it's just a basic bowl. I have that 1/2 inch, and if you're ever worried and not sure how much clay is at the bottom of your piece, please take the time to just do yourself a favor and do a quick measure, okay? Measure your bottom and measure your sides to make sure that you do have some air, like enough room to do some trimming, okay? So that's a pretty nice 1/2 inch there, and I've got some room. I'm gonna just really quickly check this kind of area too and see just how much is in there. Okay, so even more in that little section, so I know I've got a decent amount of leeway to work with here, okay? So I'm gonna set this on the lip like it says up on the board there, okay? And I'm just gonna get this as close to centered as I can, just kind of using those concentric circles that you see on the wheel head here. That's another reason people really like this wheel for this purpose is these are really obvious, these lines on here, not like some of the other ones where the lines are pretty much gone on some of those wheels. You can see that really nicely and it helps line it up. Another reason people really like this specific wheel for this purpose is it's easy to start and stop it exactly where you want to. So it's perfectly easy to control this, okay? So now we have to make sure this is as centered as we possibly can. And that's not always the case based on your lip. If you accidentally made your lip and it's a little bit off, you're gonna have trouble centering this. So we check with our needle tool by giving this a quick kick, okay? Not too fast, and then you're gonna hold the needle tool next to it until it hits the piece. Sorry, I gotta get somewhere where I can actually see it. There we go, okay? And it's going to hit where it's coming out just a little bit too much, okay? And then you're gonna find the edge, so I wanna show you guys so you can kind of see it. There's that line I can see there, okay? And I'm gonna find the ends of that line, find the middle of it, and I'm gonna push away because that's where it's sticking out too far. Do you see what I mean? So that's where we have to push it back in order to center it more. So I'm gonna just really quickly find that and just push away slightly, okay? Did you even see it move much? No, because if we push too much, you're gonna just keep pushing it off center, off center, off center. So just go a little bit at a time. If it means you have to re-push that same spot again, so be it. It's better than accidentally pushing it way off every single time. This is another good reason to have the sponge there because you want to get rid of those lines that are already there so they don't mess you up, okay? And now I don't see those lines anymore so they won't distract me when I'm trying to figure stuff out, okay? Hold this next to it. Ooh, we're getting close. So the farther around the piece it goes, the closer to center you are, but you can see here, there's still just a little bit of that missing, right? So I find the end here, the middle, and then I'm gonna push away just a touch, okay? That's looking pretty close. All right. Okay, and when you'll know it's centered when you see it make it all the way around when you're holding your piece. And so you can see now that my line has made it all the way around the piece, okay? You can make that happen no matter what if you push it in deep enough. So don't push so deep in there that it's just automatically going all the way around the piece. So you want it kind of just lightly there, and the minute it starts to touch it, stop pushing inward towards the piece, okay? So now I've got it recentered, which means I am moving on to step 2, and I'm gonna use some extra, can I grab that from you guys? Thank you. I'm going to use the extra clay that I grabbed, okay, to make some nice thick kind of coils that are going to be used to keep this in place. So here's a nice example of a good thick coil. So I'm going to hold this so I don't accidentally knock it off center again when I'm doing this, and I'm going to push down in where this clay meets the wheel, okay? This does not have to be pre-wedged clay, just whatever clay you have. This is the only use it has, so we don't have to worry about it going in the kiln and exploding. Okay, so now I'm going to just kind of get rid of this line so it's not there. All right, so now it should be stuck in place in a nice centered position. So step 3, does that trace the foot on there? Is that the one? Okay. So I'm going to use my needle tool and kind of get an idea of where I'd like my foot to be, and that'll kind of guide me for where I'm cutting away, okay? So I'm just going to use the needle tool, and I'm going to come in slightly, and I want my foot, the outside edge of my foot, to be here. So I'm just going to hold this down and trace that spot, okay? And then I'm going to go about 1/4 inch in, right, because that's the general rule with all things in pottery. And I'm going to hold that there as well, okay? So now I've got a nice 1/4 inch foot, and everything from the outside and inside is going to get carved away to reveal that foot. Okay, so you're kind of working subtractively. All right. I always start with the bigger tools at first. There's a bit more control over these when you're first starting. They take away a lot of the clay right away as well, which is nice because I have a lot of clay here and I want to get rid of a lot of clay. So any of the nice big tools that you see back in the trimming tools is going to be great to start with. Okay. Sorry, I'm just figuring out which side is sharper. So I like a little bit of speed. If you go too slow when you're trimming, I think you can tend to accidentally take too much out of one side and not out of the other. But the key to being a good trimmer is to be aggressive. Be aggressive. I'm serious. If you just let it sit there and kind of flop into it, you're going to get these weird bumps. It's not going to look right, and you're going to get uneven trimming. So when you're doing this, you've got to have the confidence to just kind of go in there and start cutting. Boom. Okay? You really want to take away a decent amount of clay right away. So I'm going to just start pushing in, and you can see that that tracing edge is where I'm headed towards, okay? So you can bring this up and along the bottom to kind of clean up any weird bumps that you might have left from when you moved the piece off of the wheel. And I'm just going to kind of hold this steady, start cleaning up that edge. So trimming can be a really nice way to just kind of, if you had some bumps or finger marks and things like that too, you can clean that up and make it all look so pretty. Okay, so now I'm getting really close to my edge. I don't want to go too much farther. And I want the height of my foot to still be that 1/4 inch like we always talk about. So I'm going to just kind of use this little edge here, and that's what this is kind of used for, to start making that little spot where this is going to go. So I'm going to hold this here and push into the clay, start making that spot where it's going to be the bottom and then the foot, okay? So just do a quick round of that, and then I'm going to even this out here. I'm going to come down this way here until it starts to look like an actual ring foot is starting to form, okay? And so you'll probably have to test a little bit with how to hold this the way that you're most comfortable doing it, okay? So pretty now, there we go. Okay, so the outside edge is looking pretty good right now, so I'm gonna start doing this inside section, okay? You always wanna work in from the outside, not from the outside in, or inside out, because if you do that, there's a good likelihood you'll accidentally keep going and tear off a big chunk of your foot, right? And that's not what we want. So I generally have the kids use kind of the smaller section next to this line that we have for the interior space, okay? And at first, you're gonna just start trimming down, so you wanna hold this nice and flat and take off like a decent chunk of it, okay? And I'm just gonna hold there, still and steady, pushing down into the piece. And you'll see it starts to take off a little bit. This is a much less comfortable feeling, pushing down like that with so much of the clay coming off, than it is down here. So it is going to take you a little bit getting used to holding this that flat, okay? So just take your time with that. So I'm kind of starting pushing more in the middle section and then kind of curving it down towards that edge as I get more comfortable holding this tool. Okay, so pushing down in the middle, and now you can see I'm going to start to push down that other side, and you can see the clay start to come from more of that edge. Okay, now a quick way to tell if you're getting close to ripping through your piece, is to give it just a quick push, okay? If it starts to give at all, like a drum, if you start to feel it compress at all into the clay, you've got an issue. You're really getting close to the edge and it's getting too skinny. Don't take any more clay off. I'm not compressing at all, so I can still go a little ways. Remove the clay from the trimming tool every now and then so it's not in your way and it doesn't accidentally start catching. Yep, okay, starting to compress. Good. All right, so now it's just kind of clean up, and that's what the little tool can be used for. Some people are more comfortable doing the entire inside with the little tool, and that's kind of your call. But I'm just going to kind of get to the side of here, clean up the edges of some of this stuff that I've trimmed. The little tool just kind of does some more detail work. You can get in here, make that look a little bit prettier. Come on. I can get rid of this little edge here. Okay. And just like centering, there's no real right or wrong way to do it. There's just ways that work best for you. So if you find that something works a little bit better for you while you're trimming, if you like the little tool almost exclusively, so be it. Okay? Now, edges look good. Everything feels nice and skinny now. And I've got a good foot started. So all I'm going to do now, after I've trimmed away everything, is to clean the bottom of this foot. Because you can see it's kind of messy. This would definitely scratch up your furniture, right? So I'm just going to hold here and press on some of those harder edges and just clean up that foot until it looks really professional and really nice. Okay? You can go along the edge too and just kind of get rid of any rough areas. And then your piece should be good to go. Do a quick signage, right? Take it off. And you should have a nice foot for your piece. Okay? So that's how you trim your piece, and that's what you want to see.